welcome. I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription for Your Transformation, Real People, Real Conversations, and Real Success. And I just discovered a new intelligence. And that intelligence is called Trevor Crane. Love the guy, love what his message is, love his story, love his journey. But more than anything else, it's his mission in life. And I understand that we all have a message. All of us have a story worthwhile telling, if only to improve ourselves, improve our own life, living the life that we desire, living that life of happiness and fulfillment. But if it wasn't just for that, it's for the impact that you can have on other people. And that's why I love this guy, because he's out there realizing that so many people need help. And they get that help because somebody else wrote a book, has a message, and is out there supporting others. So Trevor, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm pretty excited, and that was some awesome music. Thank you for that. I was jamming out.
And of course, Sedona, thank you for coming back. I was worried last week that you wouldn't come back after your vacay. So today is about writing books. And I love Trevor's story about how he got here. But let's for a moment start off with the reason for writing a book. And Trevor, I'd like to give it to you. I did say last time that I'm happy to sit back and listen to your monologue, because I tell you what, his monologues are very entertaining and very informative.
Gosh, you know what? I just want to apologize to everybody before we get started, because you mentioned intelligence. I even wrote that one down. I don't know that is how I would describe myself, so that's going to be a stretch. And now I'm pretty sure that everything I'm going to say is going to fall short of that. But but I'll give you the best I can. And now you have to remind me what the question was. It was, why is it important for people to write a book? Is that the question?
Yes.
All right. Why is it important to write a book? I believe that, well, come on, everybody's message matters. And it took me over 20 years to publish my first book. That's a lot of failure, by the way. So I had all of the fears of why I couldn't get it done. I'm the son of a horseshoer. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was the poor kid. So all my friends were richer than I was, and they got to do all the stuff they got to go on vacation, those bastards, and do all that fun stuff. I grew up with the fear that I would never amount to anything. And so when I went to write my book, I thought, like, who am I? Like, who would ever want to hear my story, especially of things that I thought sucked? And then when I have, then I was like, well, I need to accomplish something important, and these are the reasons. I guess I'm answering another question here, which is the stuff that gets in our way about why we haven't written a book. Maybe why Sedona hasn't written a book, or maybe someone listening to this hasn't written it. Maybe you thought it was going to take too much time. Maybe you didn't know how to publish. I just asked a poll question to my small audience, and I asked them why you haven't published a book yet. And it was about clarity, and it was about not understanding how to. All of these things were my fears as well. And here's the thing. I think all of that is baloney. That's a nice way of saying BS. It's bullshit. It's all crap. The real reality here is everybody's message matters. I saw Donald Trump speak one time, and this is when you would have been laughing. I can't believe this guy would ever go on for president. And maybe you're still thinking that right now as well. But I saw him give a talk, and he was talking about, he actually said, and he pissed off a lot of people in the audience. He said, very few of you in this room will ever be successful. He gave his 10 tips of success. They were awesome. It was actually pretty entertaining. And he accused the audience. He's like, most of you won't be successful. But what he was actually saying, if you listen, is he said that there was a lot of you who could be a phenomenal father or phenomenal mother or phenomenal business person, or that you're great at something. He actually did say that, but he liked to say the polarizing thing as well. And I'm not saying one way or the other on Trump. So for those of you who already want to hang up on this, don't hang up, because I'm not saying one or the other. I'm just saying that everybody's message matters. And you might not be the best this and the best that, but there's no waiting. I don't care how old you are. I don't care whether you're 8 or 80 or 90 or 9, you should put a book out. And there's something about you that's special and matters and can help another person. And I'm emphatic about that. And I'll give you this one more thing here. I believe it so much, and I've been preaching it for quite a while now. You're going to find out that's not as long as you might think because you just made me do the math. But my 7-year-old daughter wrote her first book when she was 7. See how intelligent I am? But she wrote her first book when she was 7, and I knew that there was a message behind it. Her book is about the ninja kitties, by the way, that I saw her in her eyes. I looked her in the eyes, and she made it up on the spot. I was like, what? I challenged her. I'm like, why don't we write a book about something empowering and your prescription for transformation and awesomeness? But she didn't do that. She wanted to write about the 3 ninja kitties. But there is a business and a mission behind a book. And if you don't know it yet, then you need to find it. And we found it behind the 3 ninja kitties. And I had to be creative because I have a 7-year-old that, by the way, became a best-selling author on her 8th birthday. And I have props for those of you who are on video. This is my daughter's first book, The 3 Ninja Kitties. And she did all of the artwork for her book.
It's great.
And it became a bestseller when she was 8 years old. But there's a mission behind it. And as much as I have a mission, one of my goals right now is to help 1,000 new authors become authors and publish their story and get it out there and make a difference. We can talk more about what that means and how there are people out there searching for you right now who need your frickin' help and need your insight about how you're a great friend or a great lover. Yeah, what are you? Great lover? I'm not sure. Probably. Great at making money, whatever it is. But people are out there looking for your help and they're not getting it. People are looking for my daughter. They're looking to be inspired and lit up and entertained. But the business that we put behind my daughter's book is now she has a mission to help 100 kids become authors. And this is words from her mouth, she believes that kids are the most creative people on the planet. And it's our job as parents to help us capture their magic forever in a book. And she now has 9 #1 best-selling books. So for all you bastards out there who would go ahead and go, oh yeah, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and some of that bullshit that Trevor just said might resonate with me too, you have no excuse. If my daughter can get it done and she's in the process of building a 6-figure business behind her books, and they're all about mermaids and ninja kitties, then maybe you can too. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did, and brilliantly well said as well. Because if a 10-year-old can write something like that, which, by the way, is absolutely magnificent, and you're absolutely right, our children are so creative, and unfortunately, we just don't give them enough opportunities or outlets to really express that creativity and making something of it. But before we go into the whole business part, because I think that's critical. Most people don't see that aspect. They just think that the business is just going to magically come along. And as you and I have talked before, we know that doesn't happen. But as you were talking, I just had a question for you. Are people really reading these days?
Are they really reading?
Yeah.
I think more than ever, honestly. I mean, what would you rather get, a phone call or a text message? I mean, most of the time I feel like it's insulting to actually call somebody out of the blue without sending them a text message first saying, is it okay if I call, or I'm calling you right now? There are so many, we're reading now is so much faster than actual. I think videos are phenomenal. We're communicating on video right now. But I believe that if you want, yes, my answer is yes. Now, here's the thing, though. You have different types of readers. See, I read differently than the average person, but so does everybody. Everybody reads differently. Like, I skim. I was bragging to you that I own all or most of Tony Robbins' books that he's put out, but I've never read any of them. That's not, so maybe I'm saying maybe they don't. But you know what? They delivered to me the result that I wanted so far. It's on my to-do list, man. I'm going to read Money Master the Game. It's just 635 pages, so I haven't gotten around to it. I read chapter 8 I read page 8 in his new book. Books are a resource. They're not supposed to be consumed every letter and every word. That's not how we consume anymore. So you don't have to put out a freaking gargantuan manual. In fact, I have it on good authority that one of the reasons why Tony Robbins published his second book is so he could thin it down. because when you publish a 600-page tome, not everybody's going to consume it all. So there's a power in short books, but it depends. There's a power in long books as well. It depends on your audience and it depends on your purpose. A book is a lot like a weapon. So I don't know that, but we'll go with it. We're going to go with that because here's the thing. There's a different weapon for a different purpose, right? You need a different tool. That might be a better example. But let's stick with weapon. If you're going to be in close quarters, a big old long sword isn't going to, that won't serve you. You can't even pull it out. I read a lot of fictional books, and like in one example, like the guy was like, he had this great weapon, but he couldn't fight with it. A knife might be good, and a grenade might be good, and a nuclear bomb might be good for these. Let's shift the analogy. A tool, a hammer. Let's go to a hammer, a saw. These things are phenomenal, but used in the wrong way, a saw, you're kind of screwed. But you know what? What hits the nail on the head is a hammer. So the thing that we forget as soon-to-be authors, or even the authors that come to me and have already published books, and they're like, dude, my book sucks, or I think it's great, and I've gotten great reviews, but no one will read my book, and no one and nobody knows, nobody understands, right? That's the problem, is that we tend to try to please everyone, and in the course of doing that, you please and appeal to no one. So a book should be targeted at a specific audience, and it has a specific purpose. Tony Robbins' new book, Money, Master the Game, or what's his new book? The new one is Unshakable. So these books have a purpose. They're not there to teach you about sex and love and orgasms. No, you might get more of that if you make more money, but that's not what it's for. So every book has a purpose. My new book that I'll give everybody as a gift, by the way, is Big Money with Your Book, without selling a single copy. So just focus on that for a second. I'm going to repeat the title. Big Money with Your Book, without selling a single copy, because the book is the beginning. My daughter's business is not book sales. This is bait. This is the beginning. This is step one. Too many people put books up on this pedestal and they're like, oh my God. We talked about this on our last call, brother, about how if I build it, they will come. I'm going to go on sabbatical and I'm going to write my book. And then they take a year off to write their book. And then they write this piece of crap, or this book that is amazing. And there's all their stories in it. And they cram in all this stuff that never gets read or consumed. And then they try to title it so that it's good for everybody. And no one will read it because they weren't specific. This book helps people make money with a book. That's what it does. And there's a whole bunch that it doesn't do, but it will do that. And it'll teach you strategies, not my phenomenal, genius, crazy strategies, but I interviewed people you haven't heard of that are killing it, that are making money using their books as leverage to crack open the opportunity to help more people. And then the way that they make money is the products and services and help that they give others. In this story, there's a story about, in this book, this is awesome. I didn't tell you this. You're going to hear about how hot dogs in a book helped Ben Wilson make $53,000 in 45 days. His book is called Hot Dogs Saved My Life. His book made him $53,000 in 45 days. Now, it wasn't just the book. The book, I think he gave the book away. It was the 53 grand came from other stuff he helped, the people who wanted to be in the hot dog cart vending business, if you can believe it. There's a story in here about how, how Ryan Stewman went from having a $100,000 loss in 1 year of income to generating over $1.7 million. And there was multiple. One of the core pieces was the foundation of having a book. And if people don't have a book yet, I can give everybody today a strategy that you can make money with and Money and mission are synonymous. That's my intelligence coming in here. Making mission and money go together. They're not mutually exclusive. So for those people who are like, that rat bastard talking about money, can't believe he's mentioned Tony Robbins' money book, and he's mentioned money, and his book is called Money. Okay, you shift that for mission and making a difference, because your adult report card is your bank account. If you're not happy with what's in the bank account, then find ways to serve more people. Money comes from other people. It doesn't grow on frickin' trees. And people, and correct me, Sedona, if I'm right, that if I'm right or wrong, that women like to spend money, and so do dudes. Can I get an amen there? That we like amen. It. Amen. And so we like a sandwich. When we're hungry, we want to go out and have one. And we don't like to spend money on shit that sucks. We do like to spend money on things that we value. And so we, as business owners and those people who are spiritually connected and they just want to help make the world a better place, and it's not about the money. It is also about the money. That's fine. It doesn't have to be why you do it, but it's one of the benefits. And you know, I'm sitting in a house right here that takes electricity and internet and telephone things, and money is part of it. And so they're not mutually exclusive. You can meet your mission. I'm going to help everybody with that today without needing to sell stuff, but by getting your message out there. And having a book establishes the foundation of your authority in a way that is better than any. I mean, there's a really good book a lot of people might have heard of. It's called The Good Book. The Bible, baby. Like, people associate books as authority pieces. Sorry to slap and probably make too much noise, but they associate so much credibility, authority, and like trust with a book. And if you're strategic with it, everybody can go ahead and sell the mission and vision of what's most important with you today. Sell just means influence. How can you help influence someone today and help them, even if you write a book about mermaids, ninja kitties, money, marshmallows on Mars? I don't care. You can make an impact today.
You know, you're spot on with all that. And, you know, we look at someone like Einstein as a very smart fellow, genius for that matter. And he actually said that, you know, there's a genius inside of all of us. And it may be different than it, you know, everybody has their own genius. And so it is worthwhile sharing. And it is worthwhile having that confidence that, yes, there's something really worthwhile that you can share and influence other people in their lives. And interesting, too, I mean, let's talk about money for a moment. You know, last time I checked, money is just an object. It's an inanimate thing. It doesn't have a voice or anything else except for the meaning that we give it. And the meaning is it's a practical tool to get the things that we want to get in life. And if you want to serve more people, then you want more money. And there's no better way to do it than writing a book. So one thing I'm really curious about, because I think it's important for people to appreciate this, is that, you know, the business behind the book is really about what you then get to do and how you get to serve. Am I correct?
I'm writing something down so I make sure that I get it, because you said something. So I'm going to answer that question, but you said writing a book. The best way to do that is writing a book. Now I agree, but there's also part of it that I want to call out, because I failed to publish a book for 20 years. I took that advice. I thought that was good advice, that I should go write a book. But I'll tell you what, when you're writing a book, writing physically, sitting here, maybe you have something more complicated, more high tech than this, but you're going to sit down and write a book. That makes you no money. Nothing. Zip, zilch, zero, nothing. When you are creating and you're crafting something of clay, or you're painting, you might sell the painting. That's fine. You might sell your book. You might sell the stuff behind it, but the actual writing of it is a quagmire that gets lost. It's like quicksand, and you'll disappear into la la land thinking that you're working on your book. And you're confused. And I did this. I got all fired up by different yahoos over the years, 20 freaking years of people blowing smoke up my skirt, telling me that my message mattered, and I'd go out and I should write a book. And so I'd go out and I'd write a book, or I'd start to, and I'd get up early in the morning and I'd write, and I'd stay up late and I'd write, and I'd schedule it into my day, and I'd want to become a better communicator. And then I never published any of those damn books. And then I would go on Fiverr.com and I would try to do the cover for my book, and I'd waste hundreds of hours analyzing over all this stuff. None of that makes money. Zip, zilch, nothing, nada, none of it. None of it's helping anybody other than us confusing ourselves that we're making progress. Here's the thing. If you want to build a dream house, a phenomenal house, one that you're proud of long term, are you going to pull out your pen and paper and be like, whoa, let me design that myself? I mean, you might sketch an idea out. That's fine. That's cool. And if you want, get all fired up and you have a great dream, go capture it, man. I think you should write that stuff out, but don't get confused and don't get all fired up from this or anybody else and go out in the backyard and start nailing shit together. You're like, I got a hammer. I can do this. I know nails and hammers. I can build a house. And go into the backyard and go down to Home Depot, and you'll get real serious and you'll go buy wood, and then you'll come home and you'll nail stuff together and you'll be like, I'm building my house. You'll get a sunburn. You'll build up a sweat. You might, if you're really cool, you could build a dog house or a bird house, and you'll be like, and you can take pictures of it and post it on Facebook, and it'll be amazing. You might even have kids and you'll build a fort in, a tree house, right? And that hopefully won't fall the frick down. But nothing you make in the backyard is going to go in your dream house. Nothing. Even my dad, my dad he's like, no, I make furniture, because my dad's a handyman. He's a horseshoer, and he builds stuff, and he's like, nothing that he's ever made, that he's ever built out of 2x4s should go in your dream house. Nothing. So the confusion here is on how to write a book so that it makes you money. That's the thing. How to build a book how to build that dream house. So let me shift this around. And I know you asked me a question. I said I would answer it, and then I completely freaking didn't. But let me just shift this around. How would you build a dream house? If you wanted to build a dream house, what's the first thing you would do?
First thing that I would do? Well, first of all, I decide that it's worth it, and that I can do it, and that it's there. And so those are my first, 3 decisions, that the treasure,
that I can do it. And what was the third one?
And that it's there, that it's available.
What does it's available mean? That it's possible?
Yeah.
That's such good coaching. Okay. You've got to decide that it's worth it. Like, is it worth the investment of time to do this book? So everybody take this advice. This is phenomenal advice. This podcast, this radio show, this recording, hopefully will fire you up. And hopefully this book, Big Money with Your Book, and it will get you fired up that it's worth it. And there's people out there who need you. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about who needs you. That's key. Who needs you? Who cares? This is a key question that held me back. Like, why is it worth it? Because most of us aren't willing to do stuff for ourselves. Not really. Like, in order for me to really do something, I got to make a public declaration. I've got to make it about somebody else. I work out every day, and I'm going to do a little math here. I'm not going to do math. I'm going to look on my calendar. I've worked out every day for 2,457 days in a row today.
Nice.
I don't do that for me. I don't do that because I'm trying to get bigger muscles. I mean, and I wish I could, but this is about what I looked like when I was 18 years old. Well, thank God, because I'm more than 18 right now, but I don't do it so that I look sexy. I actually don't do it for health. Now, those are benefits. That's awesome. I do it because I made the decision that it was worth doing. Years ago, I filed a bankruptcy, and I used to make all kinds of freaking excuses, and I used to think that settling for less was okay. I used to not even want the word discipline in my vocabulary, And I, as looking at having lost frickin' everything, my money, the woman I was in love with, my 2-year-old daughter, she took her and left for a lot of good reasons, probably, by the way, just to not blame. Oh, woe is me. No, I did a whole bunch of stupid shit, probably. But I had to go ahead and say, well, this sucks. Maybe discipline is something that I should embrace instead of avoid. And I thought, what could I do that would be good for me, good for others, and I can have an impact that would give me energy and would finally like draw the line in the sand that I had discipline. And I decided I needed to come up with my own definition, and it was every day. I just had to decide, like, discipline to me is that you do something every day. And I'm like, what can I do every day? Breathing? Yeah, I probably need to do that one, but I don't think it counts as discipline. So I came up with that exercise thing. I don't now exercise for me. I do it because I can then have the opportunity when I'm doing a show like this, or I have a client, that I can go ahead and say, look, if I can do it when I'm sick, when I'm traveling on an airplane, I've been vomiting my guts out and I still find a way to, when I'm not vomiting, to do push-ups or stretch or do something because I've made a commitment to do it every day. And it was the decision. I had decided that it was worth it. These are my notes. I can't even read them, but it will remind me of what you just said. I got to decide that it's worth it. Then I've got to do it, but I've got to believe that it's possible to accomplish. So my rule is simple. It's 20 minutes a day. And it could be anything. It can be exercise. I mean, I learned this at the last Tony Robbins event. This guy was like, he's like, run in place. And I'm like, what? He's like, sprint in place. So that's one of my new exercises I do. Hey, try to do that for a minute. That'll freaking knock you out. So come up with something. But here's the thing. I had to ask and answer those questions. We were on Dreamhouse. You're doing awesome. You think it's worth it. You got to know that it's possible and I can achieve it if a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and all the people that we talk about in this book can do it, and all the clients I've now helped can do it. It's possible. You can do it. Is it worth it? What has to happen? Just let's go back to the Dreamhouse. Forget books. What would make it worth it? Why is that important enough for you? Why is it important to build a dream house? What would have to happen for you to have it be an empower enough, the worth it part?
You know, there's so many different ways you can answer that, but I guess the easiest answer is that it's just in alignment with who you are as a human being and what you value. Ultimately, it's about divine happiness, and I have this belief that to have divine happiness, you have to resolve whatever makes you unhappy. And so by removing those things, and so quality of life, which is very subjective, so a dream house, that would be absolutely wonderful for me. But I think one of the things that you're also looking, to hear is making a public declaration. Letting people know that this is where I stand, this is where I draw the line in the sand, and this is what I'm now going to do, and keeping me accountable to my word. Because
Can I interject?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I asked you a question about what has to make it worth it. And you started talking about a lot of airy-fairy shit, man. You started saying it's got to be in alignment with how I feel. It's got to be matched with my values, happiness, divine happiness. And then you talked about quality of life. This is important stuff. If we're talking about a dream house, you're absolutely right. Like, are you going to build? What are you going to build? Depends on what you value. You're going to build a gargantuan house or a small house, depending on if you're growing your family or you're shrinking your family. So it depends on how many kids are in there and what you're going to do. And it depends on the quality of life that you want to have. Are you going to pick up the hammer, or are you going to hire somebody to do it for you? And then you said, I can't read my handwriting now. Then you dreamed a little bit. You paused and you interjected and you said, you know what? Having a dream house would be wonderful for me. That's what I wrote here, although I can barely read it. You were like, it would be wonderful for me. So this is what goes on about people's books. This is a perfect parallel. This is what holds people back, is we do want all of these things. The reason you asked me when we were off camera, how many people brag about their books? You said, what are the results that most people get from books? And I said, well, there's a difference. There's a difference between those people who I've had the chance to work with and those who come to me who've already published books. Most of the people that come to me with books that have already been done. Their book sucks, or they think it sucks, and they tell me so. They tell me, oh, this book did not do what I wanted to. I built it and they did not come. Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams, right? It did not work. And they thought that it would be wonderful for me, using your language, brother. It would be wonderful to have a book. Oh my God, it'll be amazing. And then here's the problem. You're going to get a book. And if you don't answer these questions, and I'm going to make it easy for you because you don't have to answer the questions about value, alignment, quality of life, and divine happiness to be able to write a phenomenal book. Those are big questions. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to get a book, and it's going to get done. And then you're going to set it right there on the coffee table. And that's where it's going to sit. And you're going to go, now what? What in God's green earth? What the hell do I do with it now? Because you told your 4 friends. And here's what's going to happen when you write a book as well. Somebody is going to tell you, and it's going to maybe sound a little different than this, but it's basically, they're going to go like this. They might go, they're going to say something. They're going to go ahead and say your book sucks. Somebody is going to do it. If you draw the line in the sand, somebody is going to go ahead and tell you they don't like it. And here's what you'll do. Instead of leaving it out there and talking about it, you'll put it away and you won't talk about it anymore. Because somebody said boo. Somebody said, I don't like your cover. I don't think that you put the right information in there. You had too many misspellings. It's too many words. It's not enough words. It was too casual. It was too professional. It was Jiminy Crickets. If you just are, these are the things. So I've got 4 questions that I want to give everybody.
Hang on a second. Before you ask the question, that was my biggest fear when I was writing the book. I wrote a book, 52-week success plan in 5 easy minutes. And I love the book. Quite frankly, I've gotten a lot of good feedback. No one has come up and been honest with me yet to say that it sucks, because I know one thing, it doesn't suck. But one thing that does suck is that I haven't built that business around it. And so I'm really excited about talking to you and my future book, definitely with you. And I've already made that public declaration. I learned that from you last week, that's one thing that we must do. But I tell you one thing, I work with a lot of coaches, people in the personal development industry, people that are a lot smarter than I am. And that was my biggest fear, that I was going to write something and everybody was going to knock it down. But I still did it. I still wrote it.
Well, and somebody's gonna, if you're gonna say so. I mean, you're never truly successful. I heard this a long time ago. I don't remember who told me, and if it's a quote or not, somebody quoted it, I'm sure. You're never really successful until someone you don't know doesn't like you.
Well, it's almost like this: is that your success really is kind of proportionate to the number of criticisms that you get. There's a quote like that out there as well.
We need haters, man. We need them. So most of us are trying to not step on anybody's toes. And you don't have to be you. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be Sedona. You don't have to be, a doctor. You just need to figure out what your message is and what you care about, which was the answer to the question about building a dream house. And the 4 questions that I'm going to give you, everybody, today, I don't know if we talked about this on our last call, but I'm going to give everybody the 4 questions to make sure you write a book that you are in love with long term. And so when someone says, blah, I don't like it, you can feel proud that you created something phenomenal. And I'll give you a marketing strategy today that's very simple. And you already gave it away in the declaration phase. That's one of the ways that you hang yourself to get a book done, is you tell people about it. But it's also the beginning of your marketing plan. So this is something that will help make a difference for everybody today. It'll help you attract more people into your world that like your stuff. And if you do this well, you might detract a few people. You might repel some, because you don't want everybody. Your book is not for everybody. Your book is for someone. Even J.K. Rowling wrote a book for kids. Now it just so happened that some of us adults thought it was kind of cool too.
Yeah.
So now they built Disneyland, or Islands of Adventure over at Disneyland, and then she makes more money from frickin' butterbeer than she does her book sales. I'm just guessing. I'm not sure that that's the case, but I'm just assuming they're $12.
Sure it is.
And I had like 17 of them when I went there or something. So I'm just assuming, but she targeted an audience, and then you wow and impress and amaze them, and you help them and you serve them. And the 4 questions that I'm going to give you today are the best branding and marketing questions you can ask and answer. And do this with help. Don't just decide, okay, I'm going to listen for the next few minutes and have it all figured out. This takes a little bit of work. It's like going to the gym. It's not just once. You got to work at this, and you keep working at it, and you keep honing it down. And there's a reason why Tony Robbins is the best on the planet at what he does.
Hey, Trevor, give us the 4 questions.
What do you say, brother?
Give us the 4 questions.
Are you sure? You want?
Yeah, I want to hear them. I can't wait.
I'm going to give them to you after the first thing. Declaration. Here's what you do. Everybody today, the same as we did on our last session, I hung you out and I said, make the declaration that you're getting a book done. Decide that it is worth it for your own personal brand, your own mission, your own cause, whatever it is. Decide that you're just writing a book, and call your mom at the very least and say, Mom, I'm excited. I'm writing a book. But that is marketing. Marketing to not, a lot of people will be like, oh my God, I'm not very good at marketing. Marketing is communication. So you can communicate on Facebook. If you don't want to do a Facebook Live, post a text, write it,
Yep.
Put a picture out, do something. There's all these cool different ways you can communicate now. You can make a Facebook video, and then you've communicated. Tell the people, I'm writing a book. And if you don't know the subject matter yet, then that's cool. Acknowledge that as well. See, the fear is I can't tell anybody until I have clarity. I sometimes have people pay me a lot of money for this advice, and then they don't. They're like, okay, well, I'm not sure I want to go tell people yet. I need my cover, my title, my table of contents, who I'm going to help, my business funnel. Once my website is done and I get my logo, nope. Today, now, you tell people, I'm writing a book. I just got done talking to a publisher. Actually, he was talking one way with me. He's a little crazy. I'm not sure I want to work with him. But he told me he wants to publish my book. I want to publish your book. I want to help you. He's like, man, he wants to post it on Facebook. And then when they ask you what your book, if you already know that you're a great lover, then say, I'm thinking about writing it about my great loving skills. If you think you're great at marshmallows, then I love marshmallows. I want to write about marshmallows. If you don't know, then say, I'm not sure, but he's all got me all fired up. I'm going to write a book. Not sure yet, but I'm pretty excited. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What a powerful freaking question. Because now you get, oh, I think you're a great mom. I would just love to hear what you have to. Great. Maybe you want to write a mom book. Inquire instead of going off on sabbatical quietly. So, to write your book, the most powerful thing you can do today that will move your mission, cause, vision, legacy forward is to tell people you're writing a book. It establishes a whole nother level of credibility for you just by the fact that you've got the balls. 81% of Americans say they want to publish a book. Less than 3% ever do. Differentiate yourself, make a public declaration, put it out there on LinkedIn, Twitter, pick your social media of choice and make a declaration, say getting your book done. You don't have to say when. I'm not sure yet. Embrace your authenticity and vulnerability and transparency of say, I have no idea. Look, there's so many people that are full of shit out there. You'll stand out. You'll be like, I don't know. Be honest about where you are. I think this is probably crap, but I'm going to go for it anyway. People will love you. They'll love you more if you share your vulnerabilities and fears than they will if you celebrate. I celebrate something and I get like 2 likes. I tell them I'm pissed off about something or I'm ashamed of something or I talk worse about the worst shit that's ever happened to me. Oh, I got kicked in the balls and I lost all my money and I lost everything. I get 4,000 people that are like, oh my God, Trevor, you're so amazing. I'm like, what the hell? How can you? It's crazy. So don't fight. Don't fear your vulnerability. Embrace it. It is your power. And so just embrace where you are in the process, wherever it is. You've been working on your book for the last 16 years. Embrace it. Embrace it. And now I'll give you the 4 questions, unless you have any comments before the 4 questions. Is that good? Are we going good?
Yeah, we're doing great. Let me just add this, and this is, my perspective on things. It's okay to be human. It's okay to be you, and there's no need to excuse yourself. And the best thing is that if you can embrace all your faults and weaknesses as well as your magnificence and greatness, it's where that authenticity comes in. And you're spot on. People are connected and resonate with authenticity, and the place that we get to be more authentic is when we have our challenges, when we have our misery. I think more people connect and communicate, in those places of challenges, of pain, of suffering, for whatever reason, because they can associate with that. And not everyone can associate with the ability to celebrate, even though celebration is just a wonderful way just to look at the world and say, you know what, no matter what's happening right now, the world is great. I can be grateful for that, and I can celebrate that as well. But the truth is that it's easier for us to connect, and we are beings of connection. And so you're spot on all that. And it's great to be witnessed. It's a good feeling to know that it's okay to be you. And it's in this world, it's actually still very hard.
Well, and it's so easy. It's so easy, but it's the secret, really. Now, you said some cool things here. Let me go ahead and it's okay to be you.
I'm writing. Sedona, is he avoiding the questions? Are we going to get the questions at the end of this thing or not?
Mm-hmm. I think like me, and sometimes when I'm about to answer a question, I have so many thoughts that are going through my head that I have to get out right that second. And then it's almost like you're not purposely avoiding them, but maybe your subconscious is a little, because you're just trying to push all that information out.
Yeah, not me on this one. I'm building anticipation. So this is with intent. This is with intent. And they're boring. I'll give them to you right now, just so that like if anybody listening there are like, hey, jackass, give me the goods. Real quickly, they're 4 words. That's why you're going to be so frustrated with this. But we need to. It's important to sell something and build the value of it, because simplicity is oftentimes overlooked, but it's genius to come up with something that's simple. Here are the 4 questions. Who, what, why, and what's next? I guess that's 5 words, but there are 4 that start with W. What's next? I'll talk about those in more depth here, but I want to talk about that easier to connect through the power of story when you share your vulnerabilities instead of just your celebrations. See, if you look on Instagram, you're going to see a lot of pretty selfies. Most people don't have the balls to take a picture of themselves when they look like ass. Most people don't have the balls to take a video of themselves when they're crying and miserable about something that has failed. But if you want to go ahead and change the world, frickin' start to share that stuff, because you're modeling geniuses in the world in marketing and branding. Let's look at it. Tony Robbins. So how long have you been following Tony Robbins, brother? You and I are about the same time, right?
About 18 years now. 18
years. So you probably have heard a lot of Tony's stories. Have you heard the story about how Tony says he made $500 million in a day? Did you hear that one?
Yes.
Okay. Did you then hear what happened to that $500 million? Do you remember that part of the story?
Well, he lost it?
He lost it all. So he shares both. He made $500 million in a day, and he'll use it as branding and marketing. People want to know you've achieved something cool. He'll share with you how the president called him up. That's one of his stories. He was going to be, we'll finish the story. I already know it, but you remember it. He called him up, and what did he ask? He said, what was the challenge? You already know it. What is it?
He's being impeached.
He's being impeached. And what did Tony ask him? He said, what was it? What did he ask? He said,
I forget.
Could you have called me earlier? He goes, I'm going to be impeached tomorrow. He goes, maybe you could have called me earlier. He shares the success part, but he shares the other part. How much weight did Tony need to lose? Because he tells you how awesome he is. He's worked with the president, Dalai Lama, he met Jesus, all of that. He's given and fed 10 billion people on the planet. He's amazing. But he also shares with you where he come from. Where did Tony grow up? He's just a boy from where?
I forget that one too. It's in California.
California.
Right.
Was he rich growing up or was he poor?
He's poor.
What is his core story? He fed 1 billion people, right? He feeds 100 million people a year right now. What's the core story that drove that? Why is he so passionate about serving and helping and giving back and feeding people?
It's his memory of one of his Thanksgivings, and he received an anonymous gift.
And was it a happy day?
No.
He was on that. His family received an anonymous gift, and it was one of Tony's precious moments of happiness and joy. Or what was it actually?
No, his dad left.
His dad left. It was one of the worst days of his life. Mm-hmm. It was a horrific experience for him, and it was so traumatic that he decided that part of his life's purpose was going to be to make sure that that doesn't happen for other people. He turned his worst day into his best day. Now, that story can still give me chills. We remember it. It inspired me to go out after my first Tony event 17-ish plus years ago to go out and give back. I fed 22 families on my first Thanksgiving after attending my first Tony Robbins event because I was inspired. His story about that made me cry because he shared the worst day of his life and about how he embraced his fault and his weakness and his fear, and he turned that into his best day. And that happened through the power of story and him having the courage to share it and the genius to keep sharing that message until he found a way to make it compelling enough so that it landed on your ears and my ears. Now he's changed billions of people's lives, millions of people's lives on this planet. So this is so important of the why. So I can get into those 4 questions, but I want and we can go in a little more depth, but I want to go ahead and breathe again so you can comment here. But what we remember are also those powers of story. I asked you how much weight. Did you remember how much weight Tony had to lose? What was wrong with his health?
It was over 100 pounds, wasn't it?
It was 38 pounds. I thought you would remember some of these details because oftentimes what people remember in stories are crazy little details. Because when you they'll remember, I tell a story and people remember different small details that'll blow your mind. When we try to teach something like the 4 questions, and let me just ask Sedona, don't look at your notes. I'm going to test you. What were the 4 questions? Don't look at them. They're only 4 words.
You didn't say them yet. You said you were building to anticipation.
See, what a perfect point. How much weight did Tony Robbins have to lose?
38 pounds.
She remembered the little inconsequential detail, but not the 4 questions that she was giving me shit about that I didn't deliver. It's a really good point. Nobody freaking cares about your formula. They're not going to remember anyway. Who, what, why, and what's the last one? Sedona, you might remember. What's the last one? Who, what, why, and?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say how.
No, see? You can't remember. And it's genius stuff. But you did remember that Tony had to go ahead and lose 38 pounds. Why is this? Because story is more powerful. And all of us have these lessons and gifts that we should be giving others, and we're not doing it. And we can do it through the power of story. There's so many cool things about that. But we can get into these 4 questions so everybody can remember them, because just giving you those are kind of baloney. I'd be leaving you thin. So we can talk about that or anything else. Any other comments, questions before I go into those 4 questions? Because these will be gold for everybody.
No, just to emphasize, and I totally get where you got these questions from, is that they are so incredibly simple, but they're just fundamentally important to get things done. And so I'm grateful that you reminded me that this is the critical part in the process of not only creating the book, but also the business that comes after.
It's good. You know what? I just had somebody pay me a sizable sum today to ask me to have him help him craft how to write his book, market his book, and turn it into a bestseller and make money with it. And he's a successful guy, and he wants to be even more successful, and he's got this whole plan. We spent an hour talking about these 4 questions, and we didn't even finish question 3. Who, what, why, and what's next are the 4 questions. Who, what, why, and what's next. We got through who, what, and half of why. And we have the most... See, people might call bullshit on me. They might be like, you liar. That's not true. I still use a pencil. And I wrote 4 pages of notes about the branding and marketing for my client, and we're going to meet next week to finish this out. So these are really important questions. And this is the beginning of his book. It's the beginning of the blueprint for your dream house. These are the blueprint. This is what you have to ask and answer, and don't do it alone. Get some freaking help. My story of 20 years of not publishing my book all shifted when I got over myself of like I was thinking it was stupid of me to ask for help to write a book because I can write a complete sentence. Even though it might not seem I can speak in a complete sentence, I can write a complete sentence, and books are words on a page, and they're not all that genius. Oftentimes but I'm like, well, I felt stupid to get help, but I had to get over myself, my ego, and my fear and ask for help. So just do that. That's the key here. The key is get help. And the first person you want to hire. Don't just get help from your mom, because I tried that and I love my mom, but she didn't help me get my book done. Mom might watch this too, but it's true. So you hire somebody who's a professional freaking architect, that they do this stuff and they know how to craft it, and don't take your chicken scratch and go, oh my God, this is the blueprint for my house. No, you would decide that it's worth it. You'd want to do it. I'm reading your tips here, that it's possible, that it would be wonderful, and it's going to be good for the quality of my life and divine happiness and yada, yada. And now you answer these 4 questions. The first person you would hire after you decide that you want to build your house in Manhattan or Mexico or wherever it's going to be, because those are different homes, by the way, you would want to ask the question to your architect. You'd hire an architect, and you'd say, well, who are you going to have over to your house? Is it a hotel? Is it a single family home? Is it a 2-story home? Is it what's your dream house? What is it for you now? How big is your family? Who are you writing your book for? That's the first question. And people say, and I'm telling you, it happens every day. I talk to somebody and they've spent good money with me and they've seen my podcast stuff and they're like, everybody, my book, it's going to be good for everybody. Because my book, anybody really, what's your business? Who do you work with? Anybody, everybody, nobody. That's what you said. That's what yep. You actually said. And people will blow smoke up your skirt and go, oh, that's nice. What the fuck? They don't understand what you just said. They have no idea who your book is for. So you gotta decide. I'm like, when my daughter was 5, I asked this. I said, my daughter's 5. When my daughter was 9, I'm like, my daughter was 9. Would she like your book? My daughter's now 10. I'm like, would she be interested in your book? And like, well, yeah. I'm like, you're a financial advisor and you're going to write a book about financial advising advice, right? Yeah. So would my 10-year-old, well, maybe your 10-year-old daughter wouldn't like it, and I'm like, all right, well, my father-in-law is 72. Would he like it? Well, he's not really the right person for this. And I'm like, all right, we're nailing it down. So somewhere between 10 and 70. Let's keep going. So decide who and they're like, well, today the conversation was, I could work with casino executives, I could work with business owners, or I could work with service professionals like doctors and attorneys.
Right.
And I said, great. Who's your favorite best client now?
Before I let you continue for a second, Sedona, how much time do we have left?
We have 6 minutes.
Oh, great. Awesome.
We've got so much time.
We can solve all of it in 6 minutes, right? Make it 5 because I want 1 minute for me.
I'll make it 3. So I said, who's your favorite client? He picked 1. See, that's who he's writing to now. And whether they like the F-bomb or not the F-bomb, whether they think Jesus is great or they love Hillary, I don't care what it is, but you write to that person. And then if you write a phenomenal book to that person, probably it'll appeal to others. And so you basically write it with that audience. So that's the key, who. And if you don't know, I'm going to give everybody, when you're brushing your teeth tonight, when you brush your teeth, hopefully you're brushing your teeth at least one or 2 times a day, look in the mirror. And maybe that guy or that gal is the person that would make a perfect avatar for your book. Write for them. Or the you that you used to be, and that now you've got these new secrets you can share with the younger you. Okay, so that's who. What is your book about? You need to be able to define it. And I could use a lot of examples here. I use my wife's new book. It's called Make More Money, Help More People. This book, you know what it's about. It's about making more money and helping more people. And up at the top, it says, A Female Entrepreneur's Guide to blank, blank, blank. Who's this book for? A Female Entrepreneur's Guide.
It's obvious, right?
A Female Entrepreneur's Guide. That's who it's for. All phenomenal #1 best-selling books have this in mind. And they ask and answer these. The next question, why? So it's who and what. You have to define that. You have to get it done quickly. If somebody asks you, what's your book about? And you talk like that, and you keep talking, and you keep talking. If you remember Charlie Brown's teacher, man, it's wah. And if you go to a networking event and you've seen this, you meet somebody and they're like, hi, how are you? And you ask them what they do, and they talk, and you're nodding, and you're like, I have no freaking idea. And it's not politically correct to say, I don't know what the fuck you just said. But that's what you're thinking, and you go, oh, that's nice. Oh, yeah, great. So instead, you got to figure out, you got to measure your communication with other people. I took a master class from James Patterson, and he said, when you get a great book idea, everybody has a book idea today, you're publishing a book today, you're going to declare today, you then go out and tell people about it, ideally the people you might want to read it, that's who, and then you go, hey, I'm writing a book about marshmallows, and then you look them in the eye, and you see if they like it or not, and you shut up, and you see if they're, I would love to read your book about marshmallows. You're like, I probably nailed it. If they're like, marshmallows, that's kind of good. That's a no. They're blowing baloney up your backside. So you have to do that. Who? What? Now the third one is why. Fast. Why does your reader care? 2 things here. These are the biggies. What problems do they have? Or what problems is your book going to address? And what results will your book give? Nobody gives a crap about your process. And it's okay. I'll give you an example quickly. Everybody wants to be skinny and sexy, right? And you already know how to do it. What's the process? Eat less and move more. But nobody wants to go to the gym every day, and you don't need that bull. Like, I get it. You want me to eat more healthy and less food? Oh God! But they'll buy a book about being skinny, the South Beach diet, because I would look good on South Beach. So sell the sizzle. It's problems and results. That's the why. That's why someone would want to pick up and bother to invest a moment of their time to read your book, instead of the frickin' process. And then the last question is, what's next? See, the book is the beginning. And briefly, I saw that movie by Al Gore. He did An Inconvenient Truth. And it's about the world melting. And I was all fired up, sitting on the edge of my seat, like, oh my God, we're melting the planet. I want to do something about it. There's a big problem. Ice caps are melting. At the end of that, Al Gore said, we have a big problem. The world is melting. And I'm like, yeah, roll credits. And I was like, well, what do I do? What do you want me to do? I looked online. I'm feeling like I'm a friggin' idiot. I'm like, what's Al Gore say to do? And he's like, buy fluorescent light bulbs. And I was like, what the fuck? Dude, hold on. Al Gore drives a Prius. So there you go. I'm all fired up with no place to go. See, your book is the beginning. All it did was piss me off. So when you create a book like my daughter's 9th book, you got to give them a place to go. What's next? The next
Right.
book, the invitation to get an email from you, to have you serve them, go to your website, get on a phone call with you and buy more of your stuff. I'm done.
Awesome. So what's next is that we're going to wrap it up. I would love to keep on this conversation, but we have a time slot, which is ending in 30 seconds. And I'm going to add all the ways to connect with Trevor. And I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, Prescription-Free Transformation, real people, real conversations, talking to Trevor Crane. It's magical. Thank you. Take it away, Sedona.